shot out of my pants. Don't you know I got a little secret? It's the ace of hearts up my sleeve. And when I get home to my honey, she give me love like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, they call me Mr. Lucky, and I thank my stars above. You can call me Mr. Lucky, 'cause I'm lucky in love. When I'm walking through my neighborhood, everybody knows I'm feeling good. See me smiling from my head to my feet. They say, ain't that Mr. Lucky coming down the street? Hey, that's me. I'm Mr. Lucky when you kiss my lips, when you touch me with your fingertips. I'm Mr. Lucky when you hold me tight. I'm Mr. Lucky when we kiss goodnight. Baby, they call me Mr. Lucky, and I thank my stars above. You can call me Mr. Lucky, 'cause I'm lucky in love. Call me Mr. Lucky, and I thank my stars above. You can call me Mr. Lucky, 'cause I'm lucky in love. Call me Mr. Lucky in love. Call me Mr. Lucky in love. You know that's right. Baby, 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 baby.
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking on your Tuesday night? I am so excited about tonight's show. Tonight, I am going to tell you about the Weather Underground. There's Bernadine Dorn. There's Bernadine Dorn. It's a mugshot. It's a mugshot. Sounds like a Jay Giles song. Anyway, Cobra Kai. That's a thing now. Anyway, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting. All those free things you can do that help us with the algorithm, the almighty, all-knowing, all-seeing, all-powerful algorithm. We have super chats. We have memberships. You can avail yourselves of those if you'd like to. And gifted memberships. People are generous around here. They give them out. You can get one. Oh, by the way, you'll want one of those gifted memberships because on this Saturday, we will have a members-only show. And that members-only show will be about Pearl Harbor. There, I said it. And it will contain an overrated, underrated about Pearl Harbor. Cobra Kai. All right. That's a thing now. That is an actual thing now. Hey, look there's our good friend Rumpled Trenchcoat, a Columbo podcast. I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. If you haven't seen this on YouTube, subscribe right now. Then watch the first 2-3 episodes of Columbo, and then go back and watch the specific podcast that he does for each episode. They will bloom before you like a beautiful bouquet of flowers. He really, it's, you know. Oh, here's our good friend Diana O'Brien. Diana, we've been talking about you here. Hope your ears haven't been burning, but we have been talking about you. We hope you're doing well. We trust that you are. If there's anything we can do to brighten your day You wanted a specific show, and I think I did it the next day. I can't remember what it was about, but it was about something. Anyway, good to see you, Diana. We love you. We absolutely love you. Rumple Trenchcoat says, a pod that will live on in infamy. The hand that held the dagger has struck. You know what I also have? You know what I have? You know what I think I have? I'll wait until tomorrow. I'll put it on a thing here. I believe I have a whole bunch of local Dallas radio on Pearl Harbor. What do you think about that? And it's right over on my coffee table. And my buddy Chris, who owns the used CD store, said, you'll want this. And I said, oh, please, local retail merchant, I can't be tricked like that. I'm sorry. And then I did want it. Let's see. The Reverend says, my luck has been going so good lately, and look what happens today. Damn you, Google. Damn you, says the Reverend Wild Bill. That's the running joke, because he hits the random and it sends him here. Oh, man, I'm sorry. You puts in your nickel, you takes your chance. And the fates have not been good to you lately. It's Reverend Wild Bill. He is a long-time viewer of the show and appears on shows himself. He should have his own damn show. Or he should con someone into doing a show that he can call his that he co-hosts it with. See him always. Let's see here. Cobra Kai! That's a thing now. I'm so excited about doing this show. Today, this is a subject that I love. Rumple Trenchcoat says, is laughing at Wild Bill. A lot of people do. Very frequently. You know what I did today? I made new art cards, thumbnails, for about 30 shows. And I'll have to do that every day for about the next 2 weeks to get all of them looking purty. Let's see here. Rumple Trenchcoat with exciting news, breaking news. Oh, new episode up, by the way. Episode 14, Double Shock. Is that with the two Martin Landaus, maybe? Is that the one? I don't know. I don't know the titles so good. I don't study so good with the titles. We're going to have to get into the thing. There's a lot to cover in the thing. Yes, Martin Landau is twins. Dueling Martin Landaus. Dueling Commander Koenig. What was his name on? He had a weird name on Mission Impossible. Can't remember what it was now. Here we go. Diane O'Brien says, had my lung drained, a liter of fluid was removed. Breathing is better, but been a bit tearful tonight. Appointment at the hospital tomorrow to see if markers have come back and discuss the treatment plan. Well, Diana, please. I know nothing I can say from across the pond, so to speak, can alleviate your fears necessarily, except for me to say that all of the Tom Gully Nation, all 7 of us, we are in your corner and we're pulling for you. And you're in the very best hands of the very best people. You're exactly where you need to be. You're doing the best thing to do. And so we will remain hopeful that you get some good news. Our good friend the Wolf, I guess it was about a year ago, was in a similar, although not exact same situation, and he's coming out of it. So we're going to hope the same thing for you. I am very confident that you will fight this in the cities. You will fight it in the mountains. You will fight it in the hamlets. You know the speech better than me, but no. The British stiff upper lip. But we are thinking about you. Rumple Trenchcoat says, good luck, Diana. Other well-wishers. Other well-wishers. Bro says, hey, Tom. Hey, bro. What the hell's going on in that? Lucas says, one of my favorite holidays is the old December 7th surprise. Aloha. Oh, let's see here. What we got going on with this guy? What do we got going on? I got to see what's on there. It looks like, I don't know what that is. Bro, I'm not going to put your comments up anymore because I can't tell what's in your avatar. Let's see. Diana says, thanks, guys. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. Let me do my thing. Really can't see what's on that avatar. Sorry. All right, let's see what we got here. I've got to do my... Boom. Shakalaka. Laga. Man, why must you vex me so? Why must you fill me with consternation? Oh, boy. The Weather Underground. This is going to be a lot to unpack. But let me begin by saying... Jim Fanning says, peace. Jim, it's always good to see you here. And thank you for your support everywhere. You're a fine man. We like the cut of your jib around here. Bro, I see your remarks. And the first one is, unfortunately, nothing I want to put on the screen. And the second one is appreciated. When you put something up there that everybody will be interested in, I'll throw it up on the... and it's not that easy to hoodwink me, so don't think you did. If you do, not I'm saying that you do, but if you did, then you probably will, and if you didn't, you won't. Oh, boy. The Weather Underground. Let me just tell you, you see a lot of protests that go on these days. And if we go back to the Wall Street protests, that was a heck of a protest. People gathered, people yelled, people chanted, and then they hung out in the park and ate pizza. So, and there were like porta potties brought in for them, and showers and soap, and that's not protesting. And then you may be familiar historically with hippies protesting, putting flowers and guns and things like that. Flower power, free love. The Weather Underground was a little bit different. For those of you who think that the far, far, far left is far, far, far left, the Weather Underground was a Marxist organization whose very clear stated goal was the violent overthrow of the United States government in opposition to the war in Vietnam. And I've heard a lot of people, reacting to that Wall Street protest, go, why don't you get serious about it? You ain't got no skin in the game. Why don't you get serious? They're just walking around. They get serious. The Weather Underground got serious about it. I'm aware of the fact that, just even at the outset of this, that many people will not agree with the politics or even the goals of the politics of the Weather Underground. The reason I find them significant is their commitment, which I will detail for you very shortly, and it will contain things that you did not know, and it will contain things that you do not believe when I tell you. So there. I'm not just whistling Dixie here, folks. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Let me get into this. I'll do a quick overview, and then we'll really get it. See here, it says, bro says, Marxists sound like they like free stuff with zero compromise. No, actually not this group. We'll get into that. Bring the war home was one of their big slogans because they didn't want the war in Vietnam. They felt it was a big country just murdering the citizens of a smaller country. But bring the war home was not only bring our boys back, kind of a sentiment. the bigger and deeper sentiment was, if you're not going to stop the war over there, we're going to bring that war here so that you know what it's like. And we'll see. Let's see here. Rumple Trenchcoat says, no spoilers, but they certainly can't be accused of not having any skin in the game. No, as you will see very, very shortly. Here's a quick overview, and I'm going to skim through a lot of things just to get to sort of what they actually did that will amaze you. But the Weather Underground was a far left Marxist militant organization, first active in 1969, founded on the Ann Arbor campus of the University of Michigan, originally known as the Weathermen, which I would state, and of course I'm not one of them, but I would say was a less violent but still radical organization, very militant. And it was organized by a faction of an organization called SDS, Students for a Democratic Society, and its national leadership. So Students for a Democratic Society already had a following. They already had students that belonged to that. The Weathermen came in and went, hey, you know, you're kind of standard political organization for students. I'm sure that the students were protesting things and that they were in opposition to things, but I'm sure there were many students in SDS that were also in favor of things that the government did. It was sort of a more mainstream organization until the Weathermen arrived. Now, officially, the Weathermen Underground, or the Weather Underground organization began in 1970, and their very explicit political goal was to create a revolutionary party to overthrow the United States government. They weren't talking about, we want to vote everybody out of office. We want to overthrow the government. And that's because the Weather Underground believed that the United States was imperialist and that they were unfairly asserting their will over other countries and other peoples in a very violent fashion. Now, the FBI described the Weathermen I keep saying that, the Weather Underground, as a domestic terrorist group with revolutionary positions characterized by black power and opposition to the Vietnam War. They were very, very closely linked to the Black Power movement, although many of the founders and people in the organization were white college students. The Weather Underground took part in domestic attacks, such as the jailbreak of the inventor, or at least proponent of LSD, Timothy Leary, in 1970. The Days of Rage was the Weather Underground's first riot in October 1969 in Chicago, timed to coincide with the trial of the Chicago Seven, which was another group of dissidents against the United States government during that very turbulent time. In 1970, the group issued a declaration of a state of war against the United States government under the name Weather Underground Organization. Now, in the 70s, the Weather Underground conducted a bombing campaign targeting government buildings and several banks. Okay, and these pictures aren't great. You know, they didn't have cell phones, and I'm sure the Weather Underground wasn't stopping to snap photos. But there's a nice bombed out building there. I believe that's I'll tell you about it in a second. Some of these attacks were preceded by evacuation warnings, along with threats identifying the particular matter that the attack was intended to protest. So we're doing this, everybody get out of here. We're doing this because of this thing that happened in this way, and that's why we're here. 3 members of the group were killed in an accidental Greenwich Village townhouse explosion, but none were killed in any of the bombings. The Weather Underground communique issued in connection with the bombing of the United States Capitol on March 1st, 1971, indicated that it was a protest against the U.S. invasion of Laos. The Weather Underground asserted that its May 19th, 1972 bombing of the Pentagon was in retaliation for the U.S. bombing raid on Hanoi. So let me get you another picture here real quick just to move things along. Let's see here. This, I believe, was that Greenwich Village explosion that happened and killed 3 members of the organization when they were trying to make bombs. Hey, it happens. It happens. All right. The September 28th, 1973 bombing of ITT Incorporated in New York City was bombed for the involvement of this company in the 1973 Chilean coup d'etat. Weathermen Underground announced that its January 29th, 1975 bombing of the United States Department of State, yes, the State Department building, was in response to the escalation in Vietnam. Now, the Weather Underground began to disintegrate after the United States reached a peace accord with Vietnam in 1973, and it was totally disbanded by 1977. Some members of the Weather Underground joined the May 19th Communist Organization and continued their activities till that group disbanded in 1985. It's important to realize, though, that all these members were desperately wanted by the FBI. Some of them were caught and tried. Some of them were caught, and the way they were caught was illegal, so they were not, put in jail eventually. They were recognized as victim of this illegal activity. And others of them hid out for a long time, acquired new names, new identities, and eventually, turn themselves in or were captured in another, activity. The group took its name from Bob Dylan's lyric, "You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows," from the song Subterranean Homesick Blues. That Dylan line was also the title of a position paper distributed by the weathermen at the SDS convention in Chicago in June of '69. The founding document called for a white fighting force to be allied with the Black Liberation Movement and other radical movements to achieve the destruction of the U.S. imperialism and form a classless communist world. So there. As I mentioned early on, the Students for a Democratic Society was I wouldn't call it a milquetoast type of organization, but it was very conventional. It believed in taking conventional routes to achieve their goals. Although protesting is one of those typical routes for college students at the time. And the Weathermen came in, and during the summer of '69, what they call the national office, the controlling body of the Students for a Democratic Society, began to split. Okay, so the guy who led it and the other side, which was led by a girl at the time, a woman, lady. If Bernadine Dorn was in this room, she'd probably be telling me all the things I'm getting wrong here. God, I would love to interview her. At any rate, she led the other faction, and they endorsed very aggressive tactics like direct action. Their version of direct action, which means you use economic or physical power to achieve your goals. It is a direct action. It is not a protest. It is not an article in the paper. It's direct action. As you'll see what that direct action was coming up here. Some members felt that years of nonviolent resistance, like Dr. Martin Luther King, had done little or nothing to stop the Vietnam War. The Weathermen strongly sympathized with the radical Black Panther Party, and the police killing of Black Panther Fred Hampton, which we will cover on this show coming up, another story you will not believe, and that most Americans, it's just kind of gone by the wayside. When you hear what happened to Fred Hampton, it will shock you. And that prompted the Weathermen to issue a declaration of war upon the United States government. And David Gilbert, one of the founders of the Weathermen, said, "We petitioned, we demonstrated, we sat in. I was willing to get hit over the head, and I did. I was willing to go to prison, and I did. To me, it was a question of what had to be done to stop the much greater violence that was going on." And that attitude, I think, is emblematic of the Weathermen. They were like, we don't care about the violence that we do or is done upon us. It's nothing compared to what we're doing to that defenseless country over the sea. Not necessarily but I think that's probably fair in terms of a quick shorthand, dinosaur-brained attempt to summarize that. Now, many people in the Weathermen signed kind of a document, a manifesto, if you will, for the Weathermen. And those were people that would found the group, you know, the initial members. Karen Ashley, Bill Ayers. We'll get into Bill Ayers in a second. Some of you are going to recognize that name due to the controversy that sprung up around him because he was part of the organizing party for Barack Obama's first ever political campaign. Not presidential, political when he first started. Bernadine Dorn, who you can see behind me here. Very vocal, very eloquent, very passionate spokesperson and leader of the Weather Underground. Those two are married, by the way, Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn. I think they're married. If they're not married, they're life partners or whatever. John Jacobs, Jeff Jones, Gary Long, Howie Mochtinger, Jim Mellon, Terry Robbins, Mark Rudd, and Steve Tapas. So that's the key, you know, sort of core group that started this whole thing. There is a documentary I highly recommend called The Weather Underground. It was done in 2002. As part of that, they actually talked to all of these people, or at least the ones they could contact or that are still alive, spoiler alert. Mark Rudd is like many members of the Weather Underground. He now teaches at a university. And some people say, well, of course, they went with the libs to the... Well, I think if your biggest life achievements were on university campuses and you're all into the politics and stuff, it makes a little bit of sense. But Mark Rudd says his students ask him, what did you do during the Vietnam War? And he said, I helped found a group that stated purpose was the violent overthrow of the United States government. So they wanted to create this revolutionary party, a clandestine party, by the way, a clandestine party, not a wide out in the open one. My good friend Iris Charisse has stopped by. She says she's just going to be here for a second, so I'm going to say, Iris, it is always so good to see you. She says, hi, Tom. Just took a minute from work to say hi, my friend. Lots of... See, that looks dirty. Sent your way. Smiling. I'm sure that means something good. There's another shot of Bernadine Dorn. I'm going to try to find some audio of her, by the way, in just a few seconds. At any rate, the slogan of Bring the War Home grew stronger and stronger. As part of the National Action Staff, John Jacobs started planning something that quickly became called the 4 Days of Rage. But then they just shortened it to Days of Rage. And the goal was clear. Weathermen would shove the war down their dumb fascist throats and show them, while we were at it, how much better we were than them, both tactically and strategically as a people. In an all-out civil war over Vietnam and other fascist U.S. imperialism, we were going to bring the war home, turn the imperialist war into a civil war, in Lenin's words, and we were going to kick ass. So there. In July of 69, 30 members of Weathermen leadership traveled to Cuba and met with North Vietnamese representatives to gain from their revolutionary experience. The North Vietnamese requested armed political action in order to stop the U.S. government's war in Vietnam. Subsequently, they accepted funding, training, recommendations on tactics, and slogans from Cuba, and maybe a little explosives as well. Yeah. There's quite a bit of information. Let's see here. I am sending love to you and hoping that you are safe and well. Now back to work. Iris is a very talented artist, extremely talented. So yes, please get back to work. Don't watch this. What are you doing? What are you thinking? You're losing your heads, fellas. A lot of stuff happened in Michigan. There were national council meetings. The meeting was dubbed the War Council in December of 1969. Dorn opened the conference by telling the delegates they needed to stop being afraid and begin the armed struggle. Over the next 5 days, they sort of met in little groups and came up with ways to organize, justifications for violence. And in the evenings, the groups convened for a mass, what they called wargasm, practicing karate, engaging in physical exercise, singing songs, and listening to speeches. And I'm going to just go ahead and guess, and I'm not saying this is true because I don't know it to be true, but in my mind's eye, perhaps some marijuana was smoked, and there was a lot of getting it on. Anyway, oh dear. Jacobs has a very commonly quoted statement: "We will burn and loot and destroy. We are the incubation of your mother's nightmare." 2 decisions came out of this ward council. The first was to go underground. In other words, completely underground. Don't let anybody know where you are, what you're doing. And to begin violent armed struggle against the state without attempting to organize or mobilize a broad swath of the public. So they decided we're going to be clandestine, we're going to be unfindable. And the second thing they decided was we're not going to bother trying to convince a ton of people that are going to be difficult to convince. We're just going to start doing this stuff. They hope to create collectives throughout the major cities in the United States, but there were really only 3 significant active places this happened. One was in California, one was in the Midwest, one was in New York City. And the New York City collective was led by a lot of the biggies: Jacobs, Terry Robbins, Ted Gold, Kathy Boudin, Kathy Wilkerson, who was Robbins' girlfriend, and Diana Outen. So the second major decision was a dissolution of the Students for a Democratic Society. So basically, a bunch of people signed up for this. The Weathermen took it over by getting people to vote for them, saying we're the real leaders of this organization. So they just kept control of the national office. And after that point, any leaflet, label, or logo bearing the name Students for a Democratic Society was the Weathermen, not the people in the SDS. I could get way into their ideology. I think it's pretty obvious. We've already kind of generally described it. Man, I would love to just get knee deep in this stuff, but I'm already halfway through the show, and I haven't even gotten to the main things. Anti-imperialism. They didn't want any imperialism. Anti-racism. They didn't believe in racism, of course. And then the Weather Underground were one of the early purveyors of the notion of white privilege. And members contended that efforts at organizing whites against their own perceived oppression, attempts by whites to carve out even more privilege than they also already derived from the imperial nexus, was bad. And out of that premise came their evolution, which turned out to be white privilege. At one point, the Weathermen adopted the belief that all white babies were tainted with the original skin of sin. Excuse me, I can't talk today. The Weathermen Underground have robbed me of my ability to speak. They said they were tainted with the original sin of skin privilege, declaring all white babies are pigs. With one weather woman telling feminist poet Robin Morgan, "You have no right to that pig male baby," after she saw Morgan breastfeeding her son. Told her to put the baby in the garbage, by the way. Charles Manson was an obsession within the group, and Bernardine Dorn claimed he truly understood the iniquity of white America, with the Manson family being praised for the murder of Sharon Tate. Dorn's cell subsequently made its salute a four-fingered gesture that represented the fork used to stab Tate. So, yeah. Recruitment. Weather Underground had many ways to recruit new members, and they set into motion a nationwide revolt against government. Weather members aimed to mobilize people into action against the established leaders of the nation and the patterns of injustice which existed in America. And they also aimed to convince people to resist if they could. Yeah. So in 1960, over a third of the U.S. population was under 18 years of age. And so the number of these young people were probably easier to convince than the working class. They would have loved to have get the unions and the working class on their side, but those people not ready for Marxism. So schools were a common place of recruitment. They started off right before the Days of Rage by planting a bomb which blew up a statue in Chicago commemorating the deaths of police officers during a riot in the 1800s. Now, the blast broke nearly 100 windows, scattered pieces of the statue onto the Kennedy, over there on the Kennedy Expressway there below. The city rebuilt the statue and unveiled it about a year later, but the weathermen blew it up as well just a few months later. The city rebuilt the statue once again, and Mayor Richard J. Daley posted a 24-hour police guard to protect it. But the weathermen destroyed that one as well. So the city compromised and rebuilt the monument once more, but this time they located it in a place that they were relatively certain could not be destroyed, and that was at Chicago Police Headquarters. So now the Days of Rage. One of the first things the weathermen did after they broke from the Students for a Democratic Society. Let me get you another photo here. I know what I'll show you. This is Bernardine Dorn and Bill Ayers today, in these days, or at least within the last 10 years. They'd advertised they're going to bring the war home, hoping to cause sufficient chaos to wake the American public out of what they saw as complacency toward the role of the U.S. war in Vietnam. And they wanted this Days of Rage protest to be the biggest of the decade. They'd been told by their regional folks to expect thousands to attend, but when they arrived, they found just a couple hundred people. Now, according to Bill Ayers, 21 years ago, the Days of Rage was an attempt to break from the norms of kinds of acceptable theater of here are the anti-war people, containable, marginal, predictable, and here's the little path they're going to march down, and here's where they can make their little statement. We wanted to say, no, what we're going to do is whatever we had to do to stop the violence. And so the protest really didn't meet the expectation of Bill Ayers or anyone else for that matter. Although they didn't get as many people as they wanted, the 200 or 300 who were there did shock the police by rioting throughout the very affluent Gold Coast neighborhood in Chicago. They smashed the windows of a bank, many cars. The crowd ran 4 blocks before encountering police barricades. They charged the police but broke into small groups. More than 1,000 police counterattacked. Many protesters were wearing motorcycle or football helmets, but the police were well trained and well armed, and large amounts of tear gas were used. And at least twice, police ran squad cars straight into the mob. The rioting lasted about a half an hour, during which 28 policemen were injured. 6 weathermen were shot by the police, and an unknown number injured. For the next 2 days, there was no activity. None at all. But on October 10th, the weathermen began to regroup and resume their demonstrations. About 300 protesters marched through the Loop, it's the business district in Chicago, watched by a double line of heavily armed police. The protesters suddenly broke through the police lines and rampaged through the Loop, smashing the windows of cars and stores. The police were prepared and quickly isolated the rioters. Within 15 minutes, more than half of them had been arrested. But the days of rage cost Chicago and the state of Illinois about, $183,000 back then. Most of the weathermen and SDS leaders were now in jail, and the weathermen would have to pay over $243,000 for their release. Now, New York City was attacked by arson, just burning things up and burning things down, just burning and burning. February 21st, 1970, around 4:30 a.m., 3 gasoline-filled Molotov cocktails exploded in front of the home of New York Supreme Court Justice John M. Murtaugh, who was presiding over the pretrial hearings of the so-called Panther 21 members of the Black Panther Party. Justice Murtaugh and his family were unharmed, but 2 panes of a front window were shattered, an overhanging wooden eave was scorched, and the paint of the car in the garage was charred. Charred, I tell you. Charred. So in the hours that preceded that, Molotov cocktails had been thrown at the second floor of Columbia University's International Law Library and at a police car parked across the street from the a West Village police station in Manhattan, and at Army and Navy recruiting booths, causing very little damage. And, according to the December 6, 1970 New Morning Changing Weather Underground communique signed by Bernadine Dorn and Kathy Wilkerson, the firebombing of Judge Murtaugh's home in solidarity with Panther 21 was carried out by 4 members of the New York cell that was devastated by that, thing I'm about to tell you about. Let me just get that picture up here for that. Because the Weathermen Underground were for quite a time extremely proud of the fact that their method of blowing up these buildings and things was such that no one got hurt. Okay. And that's because they would call and warn people just minutes before it happened. And another of the things, they would pick a building that was closed at the time. They did whatever they could. Well, Weather Underground members Diana Oughton, Ted Gold, Terry Robbins, Kathy Wilkerson, and Kathy Boudin were making bombs in a Greenwich Village townhouse on March 6, 1970, when one of the bombs detonated. Oughton, Gold, Robbins were killed. Wilkerson and Boudin escaped unharmed. These bombs were made to target a non-commissioned officer dance at Fort Dix, which would have been attended by non-commissioned officers and their companions, as well as a library on the campus of. Why can't I talk today? I was so excited to do this show, and I can't even speak. An FBI report stated that they had enough explosives to level both sides of the street. Weather Underground leadership members Bill Ayers, Bernadine Dorn, and Jeff Jones claimed that the planned bombings of the Fort Dix NCO dance and the library at Columbia University were a rogue operation. Wasn't theirs. So after this, this just devastated that particular cell. And afterwards, they begin to refer to themselves as the Weather Underground. That's when they officially started doing it. The declaration of war, well, that came in response, as I mentioned earlier, to the death of Fred Hampton during a police raid in 1969. We will cover that, and it's unbelievable. Bernadette Dorn said, "We've known that our job is to lead white kids into armed revolution. We never intended to spend the next 5 to 25 years of our lives in jail. Ever since SDS became revolutionary, we've been trying to show how it is possible to overcome frustration and impotence that comes from trying to reform this system. Kids know the lines are drawn. Revolution is touching all of our lives. Tens of thousands have earned that protests and marches don't do it. Revolutionary violence is the only way. So, in 1970, a bomb made with 10 sticks of dynamite exploded in the headquarters of the New York City Police Department. The explosion was preceded by a warning about 6 minutes prior to the detonation and was followed by the Weather Underground's claim of responsibility. On July 23rd, 1970, a Detroit federal grand jury indicted 13 Weathermen members in a national bombing conspiracy. In September of 1970, the group accepted a $20,000 payment from the largest international psychedelic drug distribution organization called the Brotherhood of Eternal Love to break LSD advocate Timothy Leary out of a California prison in San Luis Obispo and transport him to his wife in Algeria, where Leary joined Eldridge Cleaver. In October of 1970, Bernadette Dorn, the girl behind me, was put on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. On March 1st, 1971, members of the Weather Underground set off a bomb on the Senate side of the United States Capitol. While the bomb smashed windows and caused hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage, there were no casualties. In May of 1972, Ho Chi Minh's birthday, the Weather Underground placed a bomb in the women's bathroom in the Air Force wing of the Pentagon. The damage caused flooding that destroyed computer tapes holding classified information. Other radical groups worldwide applauded the bombing, illustrated by German youths protesting against American military in Frankfurt. This was in retaliation for the U.S. bombing raid on Hanoi. In 1973, the government requested dropping charges against most of the Weather Underground members. The request cited a recent decision by the Supreme Court that barred electronic surveillance without a court order. The Supreme Court decision would hamper any prosecution of those cases. In addition, the government didn't want to reveal foreign intelligence secrets that a trial would require. Bernadine Dorn was removed from the FBI's 10 most wanted list on the 7th of December, 1973, and as with the earlier federal grand juries that subpoenaed Leslie Bacon and Stu Albert in the U.S. Capitol bombing case, these investigations were known as fishing expeditions, with evidence gathered through, weird jobs with illegal mail openings. They would just open their mail. And this involved the FBI and the U.S. Postal Service, burglaries by the FBI field offices, electronic surveillance by the Central Intelligence Agency, you call them the CIA, and against the support network of friends, family members of the Weather Underground as part of Nixon's COINTELPRO apparatus. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into COINTELPRO, but suffice it to say that was a very, very specific organized breaking of the law and people's civil rights to acquire evidence in the event of any trials that might occur. Let's see here. There was a thing called Prairie Fire. It was another manifesto. Abby Hoffman said every American should be given a copy. In 1974, the Weather Underground had reorganized, and in Prairie Fire detailed a different strategy for the 70s. Not getting into COINTELPRO. That is a thing. Okay, I'll do one on COINTELPRO. The COINTELPRO thing is significant because it didn't just affect the Weather Underground. It affected the Black Panthers. It affected basically any subversive group at the time. And it did so illegally. I'm sure you wouldn't want to do anything illegal. It's gambling. They did have another plot to bomb the office of a California state senator. So they were arrested on conspiracy to do that. And that led them to the knowledge that the FBI had infiltrated their organization for almost 6 years. Not good. There was a Brinks robbery. Some of the members, after the group had largely disbanded, joined other splinter groups, okay? 3 of the former members, Kathy Bounat, Judith Alice Clark, and David Gilbert, joined the May 19th Communist Organization. And in Nanuet, New York, the group helped the Black Liberation Army rob a Brinks armored truck containing $1.6 million. The robbery, though, resulted in a shootout and the deaths of Brinks guard Peter Page, Police Sergeant Edward O'Grady Jr., and Police Officer Waverly Brown, the first black police officer on the Nyack Police Force. They were all killed. And so that track record of we have never hurt anybody, it's out the window. So widely known members of the group, I mentioned some of them, and they were referred to as a terrorist party in articles in the New York Times, United Press International, and Time Magazine. The group fell under the jurisdiction of the FBI New York City Police Anti-Terrorist Task Force, and members of the group objected to the description as a terrorist organization. And he said, terrorists terrorize. He argues they kill innocent people while we organize and agitate it. So other people have suggested all these arguments are rather specious. Mark Rudd, that member I mentioned to you earlier, admitted that the group intended to target people prior to the accidental explosion in the townhouse. So they changed their tune a little bit after that, according to Mark Rudd. So these are just a few of the things about the Weather Underground. I don't feel like I've done the greatest job of here's a good friend of ours. Her name is Kathy Bounat. There's her mug shots. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to see if I can find some audio on this real quick. That's her. Let me see here. She did a lot of sort of, we are the Weather Underground, we are beliefs, or that sort of thing. So I'm trying to find some of that. Let's see. From the daggone it. I thought those would pop straight up. And we're really pooping the bed on this show. Well, let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. You don't want me to do it the one way, I'll do it the other way. Let's see if this will get her done. Let's see if that there will get her done. That's not it. That's not, man, this should just be popping out here. Like crazy. Let's see. There we go. Let's see if that'll do it. Nope, and nope. Okay, fine. Let's see. All right. Well, not going to find it. Not going to find it. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Here we go. Listen up, kids. A
federal grand jury in Detroit of the Weathermen, militant faction of the Students for a Democratic.
Damn it. See, now it's going to do the music thing to me that they like to do. Thanks. I appreciate that. Okay, let's see if...
Hello. I'm going to read a declaration of a state of war. This is the first communication from the Weatherman Underground.
I'm going to stop playing this because I'm going to end up cutting it out anyway. It's got that music behind it. I'm wanting the original audio. I may search it out for you. I mean, I suppose I could find it, but I don't want you guys to have to sit here and watch me do that. So anyway, that's all I got right now for the Weather Underground. Suffice to say, radical, anti-U.S., want to overthrow the government, but unlike a lot of people who protest, they're not messing around at all. Man, it bugs me that I can't find... I'm going to try one more thing here, if you guys don't mind, and then I'll get to your comments. I would have thought these recordings would be very, very accessible. I don't think the Weather Underground is going to claim ownership of them or copyright. But then they put music. Whenever anything's got music behind it, it's like I'm hosed. We'll check the Internet Archive. And if it's not there, it ain't anywhere. You know? Oh, God. Let's see. Let's see if we have it. Oh, man, I am just shocked that this isn't just everywhere. Let's see here. There's this collection. Oh, it's in the... Man. Internet Archive's always asking me for money, and it's like, why don't you make your stuff more searchable? Then I would. Let's see if this will do her. Just like I thought. Ooh. Well, all it's giving me is this horrible PDF with this manifesto, which I would have just preferred that audio clip, but whatever. And now it's going to screw up everything because it's taking forever to load. Thank you. Thank you very much. So highly appreciated. Love that spinning wheel. Can't get enough of that. Thank you very much, Internet Archive. No, really, it's great. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, let's see what we got there. That's cheesing me off so bad I can't find it. All right, let's see where we were, and I'll get to your comments. Diane O'Brien says, sorry, Tom, I wanted to stay on to listen, but I'm tired, so sleep is calling. Chat again soon. All of you take care. God bless. God bless you, Diana. Yes, feel better, please. Oh, by the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, do all those things that are free for the algorithm, the almighty algorithm. Turn on your gifted memberships. Some people give them out. We do have super chats. We do have memberships if you'd like to avail yourselves of those. So there. That's all we got to tell you. Doc Torn saying hi. People saying hi. I wonder where the wolf is. I'm sure he'll be here in a second. Got to hand it to academia for creating a lot of these freaks. Well, some people say it was academia. Some people say they'd already arrived that way due to the sort of post-war prosperity. Thanks, Obama, says Terry Nee. He was on the other end. Oh, we covered that. Obama was a Trojan horse. Love, exciting and new. The wolf says, saying hi to everybody. People saying hi. People saying hi. The doctor said, yeah, targeting NCOs is not a good thing. That'll miss off the officers. Then you have a really bad day. The wolf says, how generous. 6 whole minutes of warning. Exactly. Glad we're on the same page there. Terry Nee's got an angry face and then a peace sign. The wolf says, sounds like G. Gordon Liddy black bag jobs. Yeah, and by the way, I only scratched the surface of what these kids did. You know, they they did a lot of stuff. Let's see if I can find it. I want that audio. Oh, here we go. Let's see if I can find it here. No, it's PDF. Phone me. Let's see if it's here. Man, can you just give me the audio? It's got to be everywhere. Don't make me imitate Bernardine or Dorn. Sorry. New York. I'm going to just keep looking at these for the next however long. Digitized version of that's not going to be there. Let's see where else we can find it here. Maybe, perhaps. Well, maybe this is it. I don't know. Maybe the people in question didn't want to let this hang around for so long. Well, nothing there. In the Freedom Archives, well, how to download. Well, this is one of the worst. It's absolutely one of the worst websites I've ever seen to scan from. This is like 1998. To hear audio, CDS, I don't. Whatever Freedom Archives, you might want to actually be, I don't know, understandable. Yeah, let's see. Well, we'll try another one. But it's a book. Wow, that's amazing to me. That's not available everywhere. And yeah, I got the audio of the whole thing, but why wouldn't that? Let's see. There's Bill Ayers. Oh, come on, man. Nah, it's not going to be here either. Yeah, it's just unfindable. So that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. So anyway, I'm guessing it's been scrubbed. Well, no, I can find it in places, but just not the raw audio. It's got music behind it, so I can't use it. Terry Nee says, Ayers is considered an American retired professor and former militant. Yeah. Yeah, I'm likely to believe that, Wolf. Well, unfortunately for me, I was busy as hell all day, and I didn't have time to search for it. Because I guarantee I can find it. It's just going to take a while. It's just going to take a while. Although I guess I could, don't want any new nut jobs learning bad ideas. Well, I think sometimes if you hear something like that in the cold light of day, you go, what's going on here? Let's see here. There we go. That's a baby. That a baby. I don't think that's it. That's from the trailer. That's from the trailer. Student rioters, user clip, blah, 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 blah. I can find this. It's out there somewhere. Trust me on that, man. Listen here, man. I don't really get like If I was to show you this page that I'm dealing with here, it's like, why is this on the internet still? It's all messed up. It's just all messed up, man. Freedom Archives, awful website. Don't go to it. Don't ever, under any circumstances, go to it. Yeah, this isn't going to find me anything. Yeah, it's not really going to find me any. I mean, I can try to play this and see what it does here, but...
A federal grand jury in Detroit today.
It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing.
And revolutionaries are freaks.
Let's see.
Kids know the lines are drawn. Revolution is touching all of our lives. Freaks are revolutionaries, and revolutionaries are freaks. If you want to find us, this is where we are. In every tribe, commune, dormitory, farmhouse, barracks, and townhouse, where kids are making love, smoking dope, and loading guns, fugitives from American justice are free to go.
Wow. That's...
Within the next 14 days, we will attack a symbol or institution of American injustice.
Wow. And they did. We're joking.
Power belongs to the young people and the black people.
So, just some young people. Let's see here. Dr. says, next thing we know, the FBI is going to knock on Tom's door wanting to talk. Dr. says, why shouldn't me and Terry Nee learn any new ideas? Terry Nee says, the ice cream man, FBI is listening in. Terry Nee says, the last administration was scarier enough. The Wolf says, I don't want any competition, Doc. I don't want any competition. Anyway, that's the Weather Underground. Thought it would be an interesting topic. I highly recommend. And I think there's a version of it on YouTube that's in Spanish, but only the subtitles are in Spanish. The rest of it, all the audio is in English. And you can watch it. It's The Weather Underground. It was made in 2002. It's on a number of pay platforms that you may already be using. So that's the deal with The Weather Underground. And I'm a little disappointed in myself because, I wanted this to go a lot better. Let's see here. Self-deluded college students. I don't think I can call them that. I think the delusion was much larger than their selves. They existed in a time in an environment where those thoughts were out there, and the group dissatisfaction with the Vietnam War. I mean, I think it was a largely group reaction. And by the way, the Weathermen weren't the only people that weren't crazy about the war. And that includes people of that age group. There were a lot of people that didn't like it. So, at any rate, maybe someday we'll do this show over the right way. But let's see here. It's always college idiots that do nutty stuff all over the world. Well, because there's a place called Germany, I don't think that's... Let's just say this. College students are well noted for doing nutty things everywhere, but they don't hold a, copyright on that. Not speaking of Germany, by the way, with the National Socialist Party. I'm speaking of Germany in general. Today, you can go to probably any newspaper website on Germany and find that a guy has tried to eat his own foot or something. Terry says, I want my deposit back, please. I know. I know. Everyone should really get their money back. Why are these people? Anyway, that's all we got for tonight, kids. What are we doing tomorrow night? Let's just figure that out right now. I've got some great news for you folks. A gentleman by the name of Bob Levy and I have agreed in principle we are going to do a show on It's a Wonderful Life, and Bob is going to join me. In principle. What else we got here? That's it. Let's see. What do we want to do? Terry Garr, Section 230, Dan Rather, Fairness Doctrine, Pop the Balloon, Joy Buzzer, Wonderbra, Texas Roadhouse, Nicholas Rowe. Just did the Weather Underground. Elephants, Burka Hajib, Lawrence Welk, Fred Hampton, who I mentioned earlier, and Cohen Telper. I think tomorrow's episode may be Lawrence Welk. Yep. Let's see. Terry Nee, I think you got to talk to Wolf about your deposit. Never mind. Rob Tretzko says, nice. Nice. Well, kids, we're going to close it down. We sadly did not reach this is the first time this happened in a long time, if ever. We did not reach our goal of any amount of money. So, the noise was about you and Bob talking about It's a Wonderful Life for clarification's sake. Thank you. I know every line. You know, kids, that old, teens, that old clock on the wall says, like the Reverend Al Green, I got to get up on out of here. I mean, I was so excited about this, and I just babbled. Wasn't that well organized. Couldn't find any good pictures because they didn't take any. I feel shame. Deep and abiding shame. In places that, frankly, I didn't think I could feel shame anymore. But that's what happened. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So I guess the only thing really left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.